Hi, I'm Joe.
I'm Joe's mom.
And we're
Eastside Vibes.
Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite artists, the Gorillaz. I've been obsessed with them my whole life. I've been very excited for this one because
he's very excited.
There are a few artists that I really want to get into who shaped what I listen to, and I think it would be fun to go through a lot of their discography.
Okay.
And this is one of them. We're going to talk about Demon Days, which is considered by a lot of people to be one of the best albums of the 2000s. It's a super iconic record. It's actually not their first album.
Correct.
They have Gorillaz, the self-title, and an EP that came out before this. Mm-hmm. But I figured we might go back to Gorillaz just because it does have some really good songs on it that were popular.
Correct.
But the Gorillaz have a ton of music. They have a ton of side little EPs and projects that I don't think we would cover, but I feel like we should at least do the major ones.
Okay.
So that would be this one, Plastic Beach, Humans, the Now, their new one, Cracker Island, which I thought about doing because I really like that album. I wrote about it earlier this year, but if we're gonna do the Gorillaz, we gotta do Demon Days before we do anything.
When was Cracker Island released?
In February, I believe.
Okay.
I wrote about it when it came out.
His sister also loves Gorilla Days, so honestly, if she were here, they would be having a really in-depth conversation about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, she probably knows this stuff just as well as I do.
Yes.
But yeah, before we get into it, what do you think of when you think of the Gorillaz?
So when I think of the Gorillaz, the first song I always thought of was Feel Good, just immediately. But then I also thought about the fact that I had no idea what they were saying. I just liked the beat. So then when he said, let's listen to Demon Days, he was like, Mom, I've told you this before. I kept listening to it on either my iPhone or on my phone or on my stereo in my car. And I had no idea what they were saying. It was really, really frustrating. I would try to figure out what they were saying. I didn't really have time to do all the lyrics and stuff like that. So I would really try to figure it out. So then yesterday, I started listening to them with my Beat earbuds. Completely changed my perspective on the entire album, 100%. Now I'm like, I like this album quite a bit. And then in the process, I have been doing some research on the album and on the band members, and it really puts a whole new light for me on who the Gorillaz are and why they made this album. So it was a good choice. In the beginning, I was like, I'm just going to let him do a lot of the talking because I don't know what they're saying. But Beats earbuds worked well.
One of the reasons I thought it would be fun to do the Gorillaz, besides the fact that I just love them, is I know you're really into lyricism, and I know that the lyricism on this album is very deep and relevant even to today, even though it came out so long ago.
Correct.
So when she would when I talked to her a few days ago and she didn't feel into it, I'm kind of I don't understand that because of everything I thought you would be really into this just because of how meaningful it is.
Right. And even when I was talking to his sister the other day, I was like, and she's like, what do you mean? This is a great album. This is fantastic. And he's always telling me, Mom, you have to listen to it with either a really good speaker or with your earbuds or something, because then you're going to appreciate the musicality and you'll be able to hear the lyrics better. And he was 100% right. I should just listen right away.
You probably can't hear how intricate some of the instrumentals are if you're just doing your phone or something.
Correct.
Because it's very, very, very layered.
Correct.
In a way that
yes.
you may not notice because of the bass or something on your phone.
Right. Oh yeah, those beats really show the different layers of the different types of music. For one song, for example, I don't remember what it is, all of a sudden you had Ike Turner playing the piano, and then it went into violins with the symphony, and then it went into a chorus of people singing, and without the earbuds, and again, it sounds like I'm promoting Beats, but without the earbuds, I would not have heard that, because it kind of just all like went together. But with the earbuds, you suddenly heard that, and you're like, this is beautiful how they put this all in one song.
Yeah. So before, I mean, I'm not gonna go into like all of the lore of the Gorillaz. I think like as we listen to them more, eventually we'll talk more about like the lore of the characters.
Okay.
But if for some reason you don't know much about the Gorillaz, the group was made by Damon Albarn of the band Blur, a very popular 90s like Britpop band, and Jamie Hewlett, who's a popular like animator.
Okay.
And they created this thing together. There's a huge backstory to the characters. There's 4 members of the band.
That's what I was going to ask, why there were 4 members, because there's really only those two. Those 2 are the 2 I really hear about a lot. So who are the other 2 members? Like the musicians or something? Or
No, Damon Albarn pretty much makes all the music. And
Okay.
then Jamie pretty much, or not pretty much, he does draw all of it.
Okay.
But the band members are 2D, Noodle, Murdoch, and Russell.
Okay.
But they're not real people, and they're not based on real people. They're just, it's like an anime, kind of.
There you go. And they are very, I've seen the characters, and they are very anime, that's for sure.
They, there's like a whole story behind the characters that has nothing to do with like Damon Albarn at all. Like they're from like New York, and he's obviously from Britain, so.
And so the band
2D
actually,
is supposed to be from Britain, but.
So the band created this story.
Yeah, Jamie Hewlett and Damon Albarn created the whole story.
That's great.
I actually remember when they performed at when they were interviewed at the VMAs in like 2005. It was like they like did interview like with like these animated band members.
Okay. Oh, you told me that.
Yeah. But like it wasn't real, obviously. It must have been like Damon Albarn like behind them, like doing the voices or whatever.
Right.
But
so it looked like it was like the cartoons there that they were interviewing. Okay.
Yeah, I always found everything about it just super cool. The fact that they're doing that, and throughout the years as the Gorillaz have progressed, like the band members have gotten older and they've kind of changed. They look a little different now, like the way they're animated. You can still go on the Gorillaz website and read like the stories that they make about these characters, because they still do it to this day.
So do their characters look older too now?
Yeah, they look different.
So they've changed them.
Yeah, they have changed them.
That's great.
Actually, when Humans came out a few years ago, they kind of like changed their look a little bit to make them look a little more like human. I think that's also supposed to be them like getting older.
Okay.
Like Noodle, for this album, is supposed to be like 10 or 11 years old, but now she's supposed to be like 19 or 20.
I heard that in one of the songs. They talked about the fact that she like is supposed to be 13, but all of a sudden she's that age, and her voice sounds like it's that age.
Like she like has gotten like way more mature. Like she was thought of as like a guitar prodigy, like in
that's
the
lore
what I
heard. Yep,
of this
that's
album.
What I heard. Yes.
Yeah, which is funny that like you didn't even realize that none of these people are real. Like the whole thing is fake, not fake, but like it's it's through Damon and Jamie's imagination, obviously.
That's great. That's great.
But anyway, we should get into the music on this record. The first song that we're going to talk about is, all of this, I could talk about every song in this album, and a lot of them are so popular.
Yes.
This is one of the more popular ones. It's Kids with Guns. It like has like a funk, I don't know. I'm trying to like think of like the best way to describe the way it sounds.
Kids with Guns.
It's almost like funk, like funkadelic meets like hip hop in a way. Like it sounds very inspired by old school like funk. Like I could see like George Clinton or like Sly and the Family Stone or bands like that. But it also sounds not even modern, almost like futuristic in a way.
Right. Like, there was like that beat that like, was that a drum beat that was hitting heavy through it? Yeah.
Like this song, like it came out, like almost 20 years ago.
Right.
But it sounds like it came out like in 2 years from now.
A lot of their songs are that way. It's this album has stood the test of time. That's for sure.
And yeah, like I just like that's one of the reasons I really like this song and so many songs. It just sounds so unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I know like you're really into lyricism. Kids with Guns is one of the songs like what that probably has like one of the most deep meanings on the whole record. I mean, a lot of it does, but I know that he wrote this album as a reaction to how the world was changing through technology and post 9/11 and England and the U.S. going into the Middle East and his opinions on that war.
Mm-hmm.
This song is particularly about his reaction to the war and like how it seems like we're sending like people over there to I don't know, like who like don't really know what they're getting into.
Right, and that's what I heard a lot when I listened to it. When I researched this album, the Damon is his name. Damon said that this album is really reflective of his demons and things that he's afraid of, and hopefully he can overcome. So all of those feelings that he just mentioned really come through in this song. And they said one of the demon of this song was that somebody brought a knife to his daughter's school, and he said that just really put him in the perspective of, you know, as a society back then, but even now, we're watching all the dangers of the world unfold on TV, whether it's crime or war or whatever it is, and young kids are watching this and they're not glorifying it so much, but it's they're looking at this, seeing the negativity, but then they're doing what they're seeing. Yeah.
They're like super desensitized to everything.
Yes.
And it's like it's interesting that like you could have this perspective, and that's why I think like they like don't really like people join the military, and not to say joining the military is bad or wrong or whatever. Like if you want to fight for your country, that's awesome, but people don't really understand what war is. Like they go into the military thinking it's Call of Duty or something.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a horrible thing, and the whole point of the military is almost like we don't want war. You know, like we want to protect ourselves, but we don't want war.
Right. Let's
we don't want
go
to be
into the
fighting.
military, but wouldn't it be great if no fighting had to occur?
But it's like one thing that's really interesting is like that this song feels like the kids are so desensitized to everything, and it's like go on TikTok now, and I think that's like, you know, multiplied by 1,000.
Correct. You
can see anything on there, like very like graphic and like violent things on this app that like 12-year-olds are just on and don't care,
right?
Because they just see everything, you know. It's really sad that a lot of like the biggest fear of like middle schoolers now, I know you're a middle school teacher, is literally school shooters.
Right. Like, it is.
I know like my cousin has said that. Like Michael has said that he's afraid of like someone. He was always afraid of someone like coming into a school.
We went back this past week for meetings, and one of the things we talked about is that the discipline in the schools or the infractions has risen over the years, and our vice principal was talking about the types of the types of infractions that from, you know, however many years ago, I've been doing this 34 years, but, you know, from like even 30 years ago or 10 years ago till now, the types of infractions that are occurring are truly occurring because of social media, because of things like TikToks, because they're so desensitized. They're like, yeah, it's okay to do it, not a big deal. But what they're doing is really bad. It's really wrong. And in the whole aspect of, yes, you now have to be worried about school shooters. I mean, all the rules. We spent a whole day going through safety presentation, which is good, but the fact that we have to is sad.
I mean, I love social media. I grew up on it. I'm one of these people that, because it kind of like became big when I was a kid, who grew up in this, and it like affects my whole life, my mental health, everything.
But you know the difference between right and wrong, and we also monitored a lot more. Whereas I think, well, maybe-ish, but I think today, I don't know if that happens as much, and I'm not saying parents aren't doing it, but maybe it's because there's so much more out there.
I just think you can't.
Yeah,
like,
that could be it.
How are you going to stop anything, you know? The world is so, like, spread apart, too, that, like, your kids, if you're a parent and you work until 6 p.m., like, your kid has to have a phone in order to contact them. And if they have a phone, they're just going to be able to get on the internet, and it is what it is, you know? The internet also wasn't as big back then.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
You know, now it's so immersive and expansive, to the point where, like, the parents may not even know as much about this stuff.
Oh, that's true. When we have discussions,
which is crazy, because the parents are probably only like 35 to 40 years old of middle schoolers, but their 12-year-olds still know way more.
Oh, they do. If I have computer problems, I ask my students because they know way more than I do.
But it's cool that a song could just get us, like, into, like, a conversation like this. That's, you know, how relevant this track is. The second one we were going to talk about is Dirty Harry. This song is also about, like, the war in Iraq.
Yes, it is.
It's directly about his opinions on going into Iraq and Afghanistan, and whether or not Damon, or I guess 2D, thinks that we're doing it for the right reasons, or if we're doing it for nefarious reasons. You know, whether or not we're actually trying to help anyone, or if we're just going there for the oil.
Right, and that's what I had heard, too, about that.
And that is the debate, you know?
It is a big debate. Musicality, they said this was a connection of Pink Floyd meets Grandmaster Flash. And the chorus in this one is beautiful, and they said it was very much another brick in the wall. Yeah,
it's very. I mean, you can tell that it's definitely inspired by another brick in the wall and Pink Floyd, through the melody and through the children singing on this song.
I feel, are the Gorillaz inspired by Pink Floyd a lot? I kind of feel that.
Yeah, I mean, they're inspired by a lot of, like, immersive groups like that. Okay. So, like, Pink Floyd would probably be one. I could see them being inspired by artists like the Beatles, or artists who had, like, a big overarching theme to what they were doing. Okay. Because that's obviously what the Gorillaz do, too.
That's true. That's true.
But as far as the way this song sounds, like she said, it like has a hip hop feeling, but it also has, like, a early 70s feeling.
Yes, 100%.
Which is why I think, like, a lot of people like it so much, because you get, like, a nostalgic quality, but also feels like, similar to Kids with Guns, it feels old and new at the same time.
Right.
And then also, like, the debate that people can have about, like, the lyricism of the song is really interesting.
Well, just like we just did on Kids with Guns, every one of these songs you could do like a college presentation on.
I'm sure there's classes taught about this album.
I'm probably.
But, so the next song is Feel Good Inc. That's, you know, she mentioned it earlier. It's what she knows the Gorillaz for. It's not only probably their most popular song, but I'm sure it's one of the most popular songs of the 2000s period.
100%.
It has to be. It's one of those like, if I played this for my dad, who doesn't know new music, I know that he's heard this, just, like, either through me or on the radio growing up or something.
They said this song actually became popular first because of an iPod commercial.
Yeah, I think I can, like, think of that. I remember that.
Once they said it, I was like, yeah, you're right. So Apple actually used this song, and as a result, it just hit, and everybody started liking it.
I told her, there's a few songs on this album that we did this with, but me and one of my buddies in class growing up were obsessed with the Gorillaz. And this is one of those songs where we would just, like, write the lyrics of it, like, back. We would, like, pass our notes back and forth just about, literally, because we were bored, just writing the lyrics down of this song. Because, like, proving, like, who knew it more, or whatever. Because we both loved them.
That's great. And I think the meaning I got from this song is that it's like it's a manufactured happiness. So this is what they're happy, and you said this song really relates to you a lot.
Yeah.
And for me, happiness at this point anyways, happiness is there, but how you become happy, or how happiness is to you, is based upon what is surrounding you. So are you happy because of your family? Are you happy because of your life? Or are you happy because of things that are out there, possessions or things that the internet or whatever is telling you to be happy about? And it's said that that's why they think this song has a cell phone type of tone to it or vibe to it, because it's him singing through a cell phone. That means one of the reasons people are happy is because of the manufactured things that exist.
Like she said, I've always really related to this song because it's about escapism and not feeling like you fit in where you are. Like she's talking about this manufactured happiness that you see everyone else around you having. 2D in the song is expressing that he does not feel that way.
Correct.
And he's trying to feel that way, and he wants to fit into the world that or the environment that he was just naturally put into.
Yep.
But he doesn't, and he doesn't know what to do, and he tries to find happiness through his dreams, literally through sleeping. And I completely relate to that, and I've felt like that for a lot of my life. I feel like in the last few years, I've kind of more found myself and found what I want and what I like and how to be happy.
Good.
But it took a long time for that, and this is a song I would go back to over and over and over. I've listened to the song a million times, just because I feel that way. And as far as the way it sounds, it's not the out of everything on this record, it's probably the most I don't know, basic sounding pop song.
And that's what, when I was listening to people talk about it, that's exactly what they said. It's a very basic pop song kind of sound, but the meaning behind it is incredible.
Yeah, it's musically, it's good. I like it a lot. I like the rap element of it. It just has a nice funky pop riff. Relates a lot to what was popular at this time.
Correct.
But compared to other music, it doesn't sound as old or new. It just sounds more current for the 2000s.
Correct.
But I think the reason that me and so many people love this song is because of what he's talking about, not necessarily for the way it sounds. It does sound like it's very fun to sing along to.
Yes, if you know the lyrics.
Yeah. But like I said, it's more about its meaning for sure.
Yes.
The next song is probably my favorite song on the record. This is another one I've listened to a million times. I don't know. It's one of those, there are songs I'm sure you have those songs that you'll listen to that kind of calm you down, that just make you feel good when you're not feeling good. And this is a song that does that for me. It's El Mañana, which El Mañana, what's kind of funny about it is it has a kind of a negative, not necessarily a negative meaning, but it's about letting the world go into despair. Right.
So I thought that the song, when I translated it, it was the tomorrow, but you said it's actually...
Well, I mean, El Mañana, it can mean tomorrow or the future. There's two meanings for that word.
So then once we started talking about the song, it makes much more sense when it means to the future.
Which, I mean, tomorrow is also the future, so that sort of works. But, yeah, lyrically, it is about kind of letting the world go and letting everything get bad and letting the world go into despair, because in order to make something good and positive, you have to let the negative go away. It's almost like the story of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Oh, very good.
Where they had to go down, those cities had to turn to stone in order for their society to realize the sins of their ways and become anew, become better.
Yes.
And sonically, the way the song sounds, it's just has a, like, I've always thought it has a little bit of like a Latin tone to the guitar.
Yeah, well, hence the title probably.
Yeah, like a little bit of a Latin rock sound, but it has like a calm indie rock sound that reminds me a lot of, once again, of music from this time. It's another one that's not very innovative or modern sounding, but it reminds me of the music that I grew up listening to, which is one of the reasons I really like it, even though it's probably doesn't age as well as some of the other songs as far as like how they like relate to the music of today. It's a song that I and so many Gorillaz fans go back to just because it reminds you of what you used to listen to.
When I was researching for this album, I listened and read about 7 or 8 different things about it, and of those 7 or 8, 4 of them said that this was their favorite song on the album.
Yeah, I knew that I am not alone. I think a lot of people who love the Gorillaz pick this as one of their favorite songs.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just it's really pretty. It's really pretty. Calming.
Much different than the 3 that we've talked about so
Much
far.
different than most of the music on the record, to be honest. Even
Definitely.
though this is one of those albums where like the melodies flow into each other really well, so it sounds really good to listen to it through.
Oh, yes.
It's still so diverse in its sound, like probably more diverse in its sound than like most. I mean, that's what the Gorillaz do,
right?
Than most artists.
You have to listen to this album all the way through, because of the fact that it's the idea behind it is that it's like nighttime is moving its way into day, and as you go through the night, you deal with the demons of the night. You deal with war. Not just at night, but it's just all the negativity is what's coming out at night, and the fear of things can really come out at night. And then as you progress into day, you start to get that happier feeling. And listening to this album all the way through will help you to understand it. If you just pick and choose your songs, you're not going to get the feel of the album as much.
Yeah, it tells this like very visceral story, like through the mentality of 2D and and technically Damon and how they feel about the world.
Yes.
And then there are a couple of songs that are supposed to be sung by other people that are kind of pushing back at the negative connotation that he's giving to everything.
Right.
And I just find that really cool. And even like I said, even though this song doesn't have the most, I guess it has a hopeful tone in a way.
It does, because it's about you have to hit rock bottom in order to start to get better or make things better.
Like it's a point in the album where things start, maybe like that point where like dawn is coming, where things start to get a little more happy, I guess. But it's not like the melody is not necessarily bright or colorful or happy. It is still kind of melancholy. But at the same time, it's very like soothing.
Correct.
Which is why I love it. The next song we're going to bring up is All Alone. I know this features Roots Manuva, and I know she really liked this song because of like the meaning of it, so I'll let you get into that.
So when I was, again, I'm not even going to say researching anymore. First of all, I like the sound of Roots. And is Roots a character or is Roots a singer?
He's a singer.
Okay, I just clarifying. So I really like his voice. I like the way he sounds. I like his voice and what he brings to this sound, or this song, I should say. This song might mean something about religion. There's a lot of controversy about what this song means. There's a lot of different ideas, but they say that in the very first verse, Roots talks about 2 books from the Bible, and apparently throughout his singing, they feel that he is comparing himself to Cain quite a bit, and it's just talking about living life to your fullest, and being able to reach what you need to reach, and whether that's through a religious thing or what you believe in, you know, following through with your beliefs and what you believe in, that's what will satisfy you and make you happy. And they bring up the fact that Damon's grandfather actually passed away because he was doing a hunger strike for the Iraq War, and he passed away because he had not eaten in so many days. But it was because he was doing something because of what he believed in. And so for Damon, he said, even though he was sad his grandpa passed away, he was okay with it because he knew his grandpa was doing something based upon what he believed in.
I mean, you can obviously understand how he got so passionate himself about all these topics.
Yes.
If his grandpa literally died from a hunger strike from the war.
Correct.
Like, I mean, it makes sense why he feels the way he does about this stuff, too.
Correct.
As far as the way the song sounds, I think it reminds me a lot of music like Dirty Harry or Kids with Guns. Mm-hmm. It has like a very classic and futuristic feeling. It has a funky, like old school funk sound, and also like a modern hip hop sound. Mm-hmm. I like the almost like video game quality to the melody.
So like, even though it may be a really deep meaning, the musicality of it is different. It's not what you think it should be for a song that has that meaning.
I think that draws you in too, mm-hmm. because it's a song that you'll keep coming back to because it sounds light and nice, but you'll actually listen to what he's saying and understand that it's not light and nice. Mm-mm. You know, mm-mm. That's really cool. That it's not easy to do that and like make it work. And
right.
That happens multiple times in this record, and this is a really good example of it. The next song we're going to talk about is probably the second most popular song from this record. Not probably, it is. It's Dare. And Dare, this is a song that I can like remember watching the music video to every single morning on TRL when I was young.
Wow.
I can like, it's like a visceral memory. I can like picture it in my head. And Dare is kind of like Noodle. It's from the perspective of Noodle, and it's like her response to the negativity that Tuti is portraying in the record. Mm-hmm. She's kind of like, dude, if you're so unhappy about everything, then do something about it. Like, mm-hmm. change your life. And that's like something, once again, that I really relate to. It's like you can, like there are things like mental health. There are things like external factors, tragedy, whatever. Maybe, like I said earlier, not feeling like you fit in. That will bring you down. But like you have the power to change your life. You have the power to try to at least make yourself happy. And you should do that. Otherwise, what are you doing? Like, what's the point of any of this, you know?
Well, ironically, that leads to, I wonder if it was just a fluke. They say things happen for a reason. I sent him a TikTok that I saw yesterday with Stephen Colbert and Anderson Cooper. Yeah. And Stephen Colbert was talking about the fact that I don't know if it's that we need negative things to happen in our life, but when things happen in your life, you need to move on from them. And it's not that you have to look back at the negative and say, oh, I wish it didn't happen. You have to look back on it and say, it happened, and because it happened, I need to move on and become better because of it. And from what you're saying, I really I see that in this song. Yeah. And then the person who is the singer, the one who speaks about it, they said that I can't remember what his nationality is, but he has a really thick accent, and so they think that he was actually saying there, but it came out as dare, and that's part of possibly why it's the title is what it is. And they think that they changed his voice for quite a bit for the song, because if you actually hear this, what is his name? Do you remember?
The guy who's singing. I can't remember what his name is.
But if you actually hear him singing the song in concert, you can hear that he sounds completely different. He doesn't sound like he does in the song. So you know that they did something to his voice.
Yeah. I also I know that, like, it's partly because, like, he pronounces dare as there.
Mm-hmm.
But I could also see it kind of, like, be her saying, like, daring him to to figure out a way to be happy.
Right.
Like, to, like, making yourself do something, like I said. As far as the way the song sounds, it's similar to Feel Good Inc. in a way, where it has a pop sound that fits into what was popular at that time. It's very upbeat, it's fun, in the music video, it's literally Noodle dancing around her room. And that's a song where I have danced to it around my room when I was young, and
good.
I think it's a song that everyone can do that to. It's very, even though the melody's not necessarily, like, bright or, like, happy sounding, it has, like, I think it's through the beat, has this, like, positive feeling.
So this really, when you think about this song, then, it makes sense that it's leading, like, to go back when we talked about Kids with Guns, it was a real dark type of song, and the songs that came shortly after that were dark. And as they did the album, it was going from dark to light. So when you get to the song Dare, it's her saying, get rid of that negative and start to look forward. And if it's a kind of a dance, you dance around and you're having fun with it, that's looking more towards the morning. You're getting better and you're starting a new day.
Yeah, definitely. And I like it sonically is very fun, and lyrically it's positive and something you can relate to.
It's great.
The last song we're going to talk about is the last song on the record. It's her favorite song.
Love it.
That's Demon Days, the title track.
You were surprised I liked this song.
Yeah, I was surprised because mainly because of the distortion.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has almost like a buzzing quality to it. I think it sounds almost like a distorted, like, ultra modern version of like a arena rock song, like something like by someone like U2 or Aerosmith. And
it's distorted, yeah.
But it sounds like I said, ultra modern, almost like futuristic and utopian, because of like how like distorted it is. And I know, like, she's not really into like heavy bass or like distortion necessarily, which I love distortion. I think it sounds really cool.
It does.
But yeah, that's why I was surprised that you liked this song.
So because I knew that the album was leading from dark into light, I really felt that the music, the way that it sounded, was more of the sun coming up. And I mean, a lot of people, when they think of the sun coming up, it's like, oh, but because this album was really trying to talk about how you make all those changes, from dark to light, it's not going to be easy for the sun to come up. And so as a result, it's gonna be difficult. So to me, that distortion was telling, yes, the sun's coming up, but it's difficult coming up based upon all the things that have happened in the night.
I would almost say, like, this melody, if something like Kids with Guns or Dirty Harry sounds almost like red or like brown, like,
yes, yeah, put
dark,
color to it,
black in a little bit. This one sounds bright, almost yellow, like I can imagine the sun literally coming up, like looking at a sunrise.
It's like when you hear the distortion in the beginning, I think of it as being red, but then as it starts to come up more, it goes into that orange and then yellow. And as we know, the sun, when we see it, isn't necessarily yellow, but it's, that's the color that people give to it. And when the sun is finally up at the end of this album, it's a reward. It's a reward that we're starting anew, and let's face the world with positivity.
Yeah, I think lyrically it kind of like feeds into that sound, or that feeling, I should say, as well. For sure, it's kind of about kind of similar to El Mañana, where it's kind of like things need to be bad in order for things to get good. And this song kind of like once again pushes that that mentality.
Yep, puts it all together. It's like it's the finale, and it's getting you to understand. That's right.
Yeah.
El Mañana, and then you put that. It's like, here we go.
And what's interesting is I think El Mañana is kind of like the middle song of the record, and then this is the end. So like this is kind of like affirming that idea that it was already pushing that like we're going to get better.
Right.
Like, things will get better. We can make them better. We have to try. It's not going to be easy, but you have to try. You have to.
And we have so many resources in our world today based upon years ago. There's so many resources that can help you get better too. And again, the dawn of a new day in Demon Days, and the fact that it's called Demon Days is really trying to show that maybe Damon has overcome his demons, or is starting to overcome his demons, and now he's in a new day.
Yeah, that's a really good way to wrap it up, I would say. As far as how we feel about this record, I feel like it's not as relevant for me to say, just because we know how much I like this record.
So what are you going to rank it?
What's interesting is this is not my favorite Gorillaz record.
Really?
The next one that we would talk about, Plastic Beach, I enjoy that one more. But with that being said, I'd still like that's how much this shows how much I like that one. I'd still give this one like a 9. Like, it's so nostalgic for me. I still listen to it frequently like I'll sometimes on the way to work, like I'll listen to this album.
And again, you have to listen to it all the way through. You really do.
So yeah, like I said, I would probably give it like a 9. I love it. I don't know. I'll always love it. So, but anyway, how do you feel?
Now that I understand what it means and how you have to listen to the whole album and the meaning behind all the songs and the way that it flows from, one type of sound like they had Pink Floyd, and then you have the instrumentals of a violin, and then the chorus, and then in one song, like I said, Ike Turner plays the piano, but it all works together. I would probably give this a 9 as well. And that's quite something. And it took me several days to figure it out, but I would now give it a 9.
I mean, it's not super crazy that you would even feel that way just because of how popular it is. Most people would give this album like a 9.
At first, if I had not listened and researched, I probably would have given it a 6 or maybe lower. But now that I understand it, definitely a 9.
Yeah, and you have to be able to understand something like this to appreciate it for sure. Because otherwise, it might sound a little muddled, and if you don't really understand his accent or stuff like that, you're not really gonna get it. But once you get it, you're like, this is like really cool and awesome.
It's great when you have albums that have a storyline behind them, like Prince's Purple Rain. I'm just going to say it. There's, again, I know it went into a movie, but every song, it's a story. And again, I know some people will just listen to one song here and there, but each of those songs tells the story behind what's happening. And it's an album I listen all the way through, and you really have to listen to this all the way through. And I love that there's a story behind it.
And it's really cool that so much of what he's saying on this record, even though it came out so long ago, is super, super relevant to today. Even arguably even more relevant to today than it was when it came out, which is insane.
Yes, like manufactured happiness.
Yeah,
Woo!
Manufactured
It's
happiness.
huge today.
Feeling about war, how technology is negatively affecting people.
Yes.
And
this album has definitely stood the test of time, and it will continue to stand the test of time unless world suddenly changes.
It will probably continue to get even more relevant.
Right.
But as far as that goes, that's how we feel about Demon Days. I know you probably have a quote you want to.
Oh, yes. Up. So I have to bring it up closer. I apologize and put on my readers. So the quote that I have, or the statement that Damon has said about it, is that all the songs are like episodes of his worst fears. Maybe and hopefully he got them out and they're not going to come true. And again, that's the whole idea of the story of the album and going from dark into light.
It's that's like a really good way to sum up like everything, like basically everything we've said. And it's cool that Damon feels the same way about his own record, that someone, because a lot of times with art it may be interpreted differently by the listener or by the consumer as differently than like what the artist had intended.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, I don't think that's the case with this record.
No, not at all.
He got his point across very, very well.
Right.
And it's a point that so many people can relate to and can like help motivate them.
Definitely.
But yeah, with that being said, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell us how you feel about this record, how you feel about what we're doing. I'm Joe.
I'm Joe's mom.
We're East Side Vibes, and have a great day. Thank you.